everybody, I'm Lorii Abela, your soulmate expert and Asian matchmaker. Welcome to tonight's episode of Matchmaker Secrets, where we talk about love, dating, and relationships, and of course, matchmaking. Probably you have heard some women who are interested with older men, and there's just one probably that you know, maybe there are more, but somehow you have come across like that. You know, of course, this is different from those ladies who are only interested with younger men. There are also women like that. I'm sure you have also met some women like that. But our guest tonight, her name is Madeline Husar, and she is a 28-year-old, and she embraces the quirky and unconventional. So nature and spirituality are her guiding forces, and she loves to flirt and engage with life. Okay, so how are you, Madeline? Nice to have you.
Thank you. I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here.
All right, awesome. So, by the way, thank you so much for being over here. Like, I know that we missed you last time, but
I'm so sorry about that.
No worry. Tell us specifically, what qualities do you find most appealing about older men compared to men your age?
I think a lot of it has to do with like a sense of dominance. From being a child, have always like been like afraid of men, and then once I kind of hit puberty, I was like, or once I hit probably like 21, I kind of, you know, was like, oh, I'm getting male attention here, and usually at that age it's mainly from men a lot older than you, but something about like men like being, you know, sophisticated in the way they spoke, but also like handling things and taking care of like, you know, things that men my age like just don't really care about. I just appreciate the way that men that are older than me dress, the way that they, you know, the level of respect, and I just naturally just find older men like more appealing physically.
Okay, all right. So can you tell me like how old is the oldest that you have ever met up?
Some people are gonna see this be shocked. I think the oldest I met up with was like 65, but as of like lately though, I've like been seeing like someone that's 44, and that's like the oldest that I've like actually dated, like relationship wise. Before it was just more so like, you know, hookup culture, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I've been with men of all ages, but I can't do anything with men that are in my age range. It's just repulsive to me for some reason.
Okay, because like you said that you have also met some people who are 65. Is there a difference between the 45 and 65 from what you have seen?
Oh yeah. I mean, with everyone that like I've dated, and previously I was with someone in a long-term relationship, and he was 10 years older than me, and I noticed things with that. And now the person I'm seeing who's 44, there's, you know, a lot of different things about him, but 65 is like, no offense to anyone, but like your father or grandfather or something, they just, I feel like mostly only want to talk about politics and their work. And I feel like with the man I'm seeing who's, you know, 44, it feels more so like he, you know, has experienced life and, you know, has a lot of input and a lot of like really helpful advice that I, you know, really appreciate. And he can be really grounding for a person like me that carries a lot of anxiety. Yes. Every age is different, the way that they handle themselves, so depends on what you're looking for, I guess.
All right, yeah, it's good to know, because like, you know, you have gone through the ages, and so you have more idea like how it is like, you know, probably some women are even curious, like, you know, because from what I've noticed over here in Chicago, a lot of ladies would like to try something different. So that's the reason why, like, you know, I'm just asking you what's the difference between the 45 and 65, based from your experience. So
yeah, I think a lot of people are like kind of nervous to, you know, based upon like, you know, judgment or like influence from family or friends. But, you know, and I still get like, you know, feedback about, you know, from family, like, why are you always wanting to date an older man? And I'm like, it's just what I want. Like, sorry that you don't want that, but it's what makes me happy. So I feel like, but like you said in your previous question, like, you know, the differences in the ages, like there's definitely some things that like, you know, are kind of hard to navigate when someone's, you know, 20 years older than you know, they grew up in a different era, and, you know, sometimes I want to feel like I'm smarter than he is. And so I feel like there's, sometimes disagreements that, I've just learned to
Okay,
accept.
so let me ask you though, when you were growing up, have you always been magnetized by people who are older than you? Like, you find fascination with them, they're much more intelligent.
I was always really afraid of older people, like only men, like women at any age was always comforting to me and I could feel fine. But like as a child, older men, like I would have, uncles or whatever come over for Christmas parties, and I would just like hide in my room, and there would be a time I was like rock climbing and the person I was working with, he was a man, and like I was so shy, I was so scared. And it's just funny to me how like now that I'm older, it's like I feel like I am a magnet to these men that like I hid from childhood.
So have you noticed any benefits or challenges while you were having this kind of, relationship?
The benefits, I mean, are just like, I'm learning how to kind of be more responsible. That's something in life that like growing up with 3 sisters, like we're all crazy energy, high energy with like a household of like all of women and my dad. But I think that for me, it's just, it's more grounding to be with someone a bit older. But definitely, like I said, there's things that I don't always agree with, like the person I'm seeing has a child, and I've never seriously dated someone that has a child. And I think like I'm just kind of learning more about like acceptance as well, and understanding that everyone has kind of a different story in life and the reason why things have happened. And for me, I've always been interested in people and, the way we make decisions and why we make decisions. So I don't know.
So what do you think about that? Like, if a guy has a child and you've never, had experience of having a child, so like, is it terrifying to think it over?
I mean, I always told myself I would never date a man that had a child. Like, I wanted to be with a guy and we would have a child, it would just be us. Like, I don't want to bring someone else in, but like, the more that I've, kind of been spending time with the person I'm seeing, like, and I think he might be a little bit hesitant to, bring up his son a lot. But I think it's like still like, it's family, it's what happened, and whether or not he wanted it to happen, like he does a great job at, being a parent. And for me, that's something that like I never thought I would have the patience or, understanding to, be with someone that, has a child and like, close off my judgments that aren't even like practical or reasonable to have a judgment like that. So it's been lovely.
Yeah, because like it's a given already. If they're older than you, more or less, a lot of them have been divorced or like, they had a child. So lucky if they don't have a child. So like, I don't know, maybe there's a health problem for some of those who cannot have a child, but that's already a given. If they're, older, more chances that they have a child. And so unless they don't really want to have a child. There's some men as well like that.
Yeah, of course.
So have you faced any power imbalances in the relationships? Because like obviously they're older.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've had there's been times that I didn't bite my tongue, but like even like in past relationships other than this current one I'm in, like when I was casually seeing older men kind of just for fun or just, for an experience, whatnot, I definitely like would get so irritated by some of these men and how arrogant they are, and just because I'm younger than you, like I feel like it doesn't mean that a person is automatically like stupid. And a lot of men I feel like at like older ages, that are successful, like they want to, people to feel like their power. And for me, I'm like, I don't like that being shoved in my face. I prefer something that's more like natural. But it's like really irritating though sometimes when someone's just telling you things that like I've already learned like 5 years ago. I'm like, you don't have to like explain it to me over and over again. Like I know that. Just because I'm younger than you doesn't mean I'm an idiot. And that could be frustrating, but if you're with the right person, I guess it's something that you work on. But
yeah, but because like, even though you're younger and then you have your own maturity, I think like it will be nice if they can understand like, okay, where you're coming from, because like sometimes like, those kind of lessons, they don't they don't really like remember it, even though they know it already. Even regular people your age, they have heard a lesson. Like maybe their parents said that to them, like okay, don't talk. Simple as like don't talk to strangers. And so like the child will still like okay, take advantage of it because that's she forgot. Like I don't have to talk to strangers. So yeah, it's sometimes people forget, or sometimes like they just feel so comfortable that they have forgotten something, like it's a good reminder actually, and then those people actually, the person for you will actually like be happy about your reminder. So that's a good take point. It into consideration.
No, I appreciate that.
They will actually respect you. Okay, actually they will find it cute because like you're trying.
That's one thing, they find it cute.
Because you're trying to be proactive about the whatever is happening. So
I think a lot of it too could be like, I don't know how PG-13 we can get on here, but like a lot of it too is like has a play in like fetish kind of scene, or like kink, the older man, younger woman, vice versa. And I think for some women and men too, obviously, like that's appealing. And for me, like that's how all of it started. Like I was in like interested in that, like starting out at 18, and since then I've just it's just stuck with me. But I've as I've gotten a bit older, like I've matured a bit more with what I want. When I was 18, I was just like, oh, this is crazy and cool, and but I don't know.
Okay, have you actually really like your father? Were you your father's favorite? That's the reason why you thought like, okay, like you have also a lot of respect for your father, and so like I don't know, like maybe that's the reason why you like older men.
I was actually thinking about that recently. And my father, as we were speaking, recently died from pancreatic cancer. And my dad was always a very, very like scary, intense person. But he also had like such a wonderful heart. And I think people say that in relationships, you'll unconsciously like find someone that, represents your father or mother, and, sometimes I think I look out like for men that remind me, not physically of my dad, but like of like certain traits of his. And main traits that I can think of are, kind of being like extremely responsible, but like also a bit, intimidating. Someone that, gets their work done and is very like successful, but also like there's definitely, I think, older men that need like nurturing as well. And my mom was great for my dad for that. They had a age gap as well. For that, I think definitely my dad, the way I grew up had a play, and kind of like my interest in men that were older, just the way that they carry themselves, I think reminds me of kind of how I grew up.
Okay, so what's the age gap between your parents?
So the age gap between my parents was 10 years. And then from my grandparents, it was, I think, 15 years. And then my great-great-grandparents, it was like over 20 years. I was just talking to my mom about this, and she's like, so you're doing fine. You're just joining the age gap club. So she just wants grandbabies. That's all she cares about.
Oh, okay, all right. No, because during those times, like, it doesn't really matter before. Like, that was the norm before. Like, it's okay to marry somebody who's way younger, because, like, it was acceptable. Nowadays, like, people just like to chit-chat about it. So I think, like, there's nothing wrong as long as you're finding somebody who will care for you and you love as well, in return. How did it started when you first realized, okay, they're talking about me, or like, your friends are like, okay, why are you doing that? Because that's your first, point of connection. Your friends, your family, you can hide from them for a little bit, but your friends, like, they're the ones who see it right away.
Well, I met this woman. She was like 10 years older than me at the time. I was probably like 19 and she was like 29 or something, and she was like going out with like these older men, and at the time, well, now looking back on it, it was kind of like weird what she was doing, but she was like going on dates with these older men, and she always wanted me to go with her, and I was like, no, I'm okay. But then I started doing it, and I kind of like, was kind of like an adrenaline rush almost for me. It was just exciting, and it was almost like I felt like alive. So she introduced me to that kind of world. I mean, if I hadn't met her, I would probably just have been dating men that were like, in my age range, and not have been doing things that were so like shocking to some people, like, going to sex clubs and all this other random stuff, and learning about different kind of not safe for work topics. But I think I'm grateful that she kind of introduced me to that, though, because it's like I've learned a lot about myself and others through, these interactions and people that I've met throughout the years.
Okay. All right. And so, but I know that you go to those places, but, of course, like, you have to select still, like, who you're going to be your long-term relationship, because, like, you cannot just be, like,
yeah,
anybody there.
Yeah. For a while, like, I would sometimes, like, I'd be invited to these clubs, and you can get a membership to them, and my partner I see now, we talk about it, and there's, like, free events that we can go to, and, you're able to just, sign up and go once a month, or you can sign up as a couple. But we haven't really, this relationship I'm in now is a lot different than any other relationship I've been in before with someone older than me, because it's actually based upon respect, in my opinion, not just like being arm candy to someone. But we both like are, people that are interested in doing different, unique things. And I think we both like to explore different, kind of events and see what's going on. So he definitely wouldn't want me to go there alone, and I wouldn't want him to go there alone. So it's just communicating, I think.
Okay. All right. And so if you will describe, because like, yours is different, because like you're not just talking about age gap now. So you're also talking about like, something different, which is, another classification. So as far as like, relationship is concerned, like, I don't know, are you the type of person who is going to be open for another person in your party? I'm talking about your relationship.
Yeah. Polyamory?
Yeah.
Oh, for that? I mean, I've had my share with that, and it's just been so messy and just a headache. And like I've, opened the door for other women to come in a relationship with one of my exes, and it just was like, I mainly had to tell myself, am I doing this because it makes me happy, or is it making him happy? And I care more about his happiness than mine, or my peace of mind. But with the man I'm seeing now, it's still so like fresh, and we haven't even known each other for a year. So it's like, who knows if that would happen? We've talked about, different things, and if the timing was right, and if, the person was right, sure, but I don't want to have another person in my relationship. I prefer traditional, and we can have our fun little experimenting moments, but for now I just want to be monogamous.
Okay, perfect. No, I think like, that's the most important thing, like, what are you comfortable with? Because like, I'm not, bashing those people who are doing it, because what happened is that everybody has their point of view, which one will make them happy. And so I've even had a guest before over here who is a psychologist who's actually practicing polyamory, and I was thinking like, okay, that's interesting. She's a psychologist, but this is something that is cool with her, and so okay, to each her own.
Yeah.
So are you concerned about potential life stage differences, like career, health, or family planning? Maybe like this guy wants to, he's still young, so maybe he still wants to have a child, or like somebody who I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've definitely given that thought. Like the fact that, I lost my dad at a young age, like, and now I'm thinking, when he's, 75, I'm going to be how old? And, the fact is that, like, if I'm still alive and haven't died before him, like, that's like, I'm probably going to have to be like a caretaker of him, basically. And
that's right.
Not be able to experience things that people at, the same age, around the same age, are able to do with one another. But I'm trying to just, right now understand that I'm with a person that makes me happy and brings me peace. And I've been with several men that have brought me so much pain. And right now, like, the future is the future, but all I could think about is in this moment, like, I have something that I'm really grateful for. And when that time comes, if that time comes, even if we make it to that point. Like, I don't know, it does scare me, and my family tells me, oh, like, what if, you know, you're changing his diapers while you're wanting to go out on the night on the town or something, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good point, but I mean, if you end up loving someone, it's like you make sacrifices for them, and my parents did that with their age gap. When my dad was dying, my mom did everything in her power for my dad, so I think I view it a bit differently after seeing my dad go through what he did and the way my mom was there for him. So
yeah, that's the beauty of it. I don't know this, but you know, some of the people who are watching, and they have heard me said it before. Like, my father met a woman when my father was 80 when he met this 30 years old woman, and so, like, you know, they were married, and I have a stepsister.
Oh, wow.
And so yeah, it's when my father passed away, so nobody was there. You know, usually it's only the wife who's going to be there for like, you know, till the end of time. So, like, you know, things happen, and then, like, death is coming, because, you know, that's the way it is. Like, everybody is going to die somehow. And so, like, yeah, in the end, I am thinking, like, okay, thank God as well that, you know, there's somebody for him who's there in order to take care of him. Because, like, imagine I'm here, and then my father was in the Philippines, and then my sister and brother, they have their own lives. They have their own thing that they're supposed to take care of. So, like, you know, it's only the wife who's going to be there in order for her to take care of him and bring him to different hospitals that, you know, he has to go to. And so, like, but it's if not for her, I would imagine, like, oh my God, I'm gonna be rough on my father. Because, like, you know, aging is rough.
Yeah. I feel like, though, with that, it's almost like I think about, like, oh, well, what's the reasoning that someone that's 30 is with someone that's 80? I mean, I know if it's love, but sometimes the term, you know, people say a gold digger or whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
like,
my father was rich, but I think, like, you know, it's also like I think it's also a personal choice of my father, because, like, he really wants somebody who, you know, who's like that. And before that, like, you know, before that person that he married, there was another girl who was, you know, also younger, but, you know, it's just like the difference between them is maybe like 15 years between the first girlfriend and the second person that he married. But yeah, I think, like, it's a personal choice, and then, like, it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody is going to be lucky with love when they're, or, you know, 80 and then they met somebody younger. Sometimes, you know, you got lucky, sometimes you don't. So, like, you just have to make sure that you know who you're picking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, like, you know, it's if you find somebody who's gonna be there for you, then that's great. If you're not, like, you know, you just have to go forward and look for somebody else. So, are you worried about your future compatibility? Because, like, of course, like, people grow older, and then, like, you know, he's already old, and then, like, he's gonna grow older. So, like, you know, different moods. Like, are you thinking about that?
I mean, I feel like, and people are gonna be like, oh, this girl doesn't know anything, but I mean, like, I'm 28, but I've, like, been through, like, a hell multiple times and back, and I feel like because of that, like, I've kind of have a different perspective on life, and, like, aging, and, you know, I've faced, you know, death, dealing with it. I mean, the other week I just had a seizure inside Target, and I thought I was, like, gonna die. And it's just, to me, I feel like at the end of the day, like, I feel like we all just want love, and I want to be loved, and I feel like, you know, I don't know, but it doesn't matter to me if a person's, you know, getting older. I mean, it seems so far everything's working right and well, so I don't think that's going to be a problem, but I don't know. It's to me, it's just, I'm learning every day with this person, and, you know, compared to how I would, you know, date older men in the past, it was more so like, what could I get out of this? And now it's more so like, how can I be there for another person? And I think he also has a hard time, like, letting his guard down and, you know, being vulnerable, as I think a lot of men do, which I feel like stinks, because men deserve to, like, show their emotions and, you know, But I think it's just something that's going to take time. I think this is not even answering your question. I'm sorry. I'm getting my ADHD today is very bad. Oh my God.
So, I know that you're happy with this guy right now, but just in case, would you consider going forward to dating older men in the future, and then, or do you think like maybe when you're 40 you're gonna have your change of heart, like about older men?
I don't know. That's a good question, because I feel like part of me thinks like, okay, well, when I get a bit older, like I want to be like, I want to be a MILF or whatever, but like I feel like it's almost kind of like, to be honest, like it's like I think it's validation seeking in a way, like that started me being interested in older men. Like it was easier to feel like liked and wanted and valued because they would give me more attention than like men my age. And I feel like when I turn, in my 40s, 50s, whatever, being a cougar is like the thing for younger guys. And I feel like that's going to be easier to do than, stick with a man who maybe is still wanting to be with a younger woman. So I don't know when that time comes how I'll feel or where I'll even be, if I'll still be with the man I'm seeing now or if not. So these are all really good things to think about, but.
Okay. So maybe next time I see you, like, a few years from now, you're going to be the Madonna, like, looking for younger or J-Lo.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this information, because like, it's always nice to talk about it, because like there are some women who are just like you, and then like it's nice that they can hear that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Because like life out there is rough, because like, you get judged all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like, what can you do? Nothing really, because like, if you get mad, then like you lose, because like, you lose your anger, you lose everything, and then, you'll be thinking about it, and then like your anxiety will start again. Yeah. So you just,
and that's why I liked you so much. I mean, like from the things that I've, read about you, you ask these questions that are, taboo when they shouldn't be. It should be things that, we should be, as women, even men, like comfortable talking about, like, real life relationship things that are so like important, and people get kind of scared, and people will ask me like, oh, you're so open about all that stuff, and it's just like, I think people want to be open, they're just, afraid of that judgment. So yes. I think you do a good job at like opening the door for people to, kind of explore their curiosity, which I appreciate that, and I think a lot of other people probably will,
yeah, because like, maybe
too.
10 years from now, this doesn't really matter anyway. Just like, the LGBTQ, like, they were really taboo before, and then like, they were so scared when they got AIDS, and then like later on, like, oh, AIDS, okay, like, everybody get AIDS, so there's a cure for that. Yeah. So like, it's I don't know, time. Like, it's just like time is always moving forward, and then like, whatever's happening right now is gonna be nothing anyway. Like when you die, you die.
I know. Why can't we should just be happy while we can be, or try to be at least.
Your morals are your morals. Like, if you wanna abide by it, good. If you don't wanna abide by it, then good. Because like, you can. You're the only person who can make a decision for yourself. Like, no matter how much I tell you. But the thing though is that, let's say I have somebody that I coach, which I think like, is gonna be off the way in order for her to find somebody, then like, okay, bye-bye, we're not a match. Because like, you just have to find somebody who's gonna be able to help you with whatever situation is, because I'm sure that somebody is gonna be able to help you in whatever you believe, because like, it's a what you believe which is mattering. So that's the way it is.
Agree.
All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for being over here, and for those people who are single, and even those who are experts in the industry, and those who have been in a relationship for a long time. All of you have some nuggets to share, and then like we will explore different things with you. Just give us a holler so we can have you in the show. Thank you so much for being over here, and we'll see you again. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me. Bye.